this is a good change. This is something we provided our feedback on lately. You know, Night Stalker correctly pointed out it would take 8 years, I think, to level everything up via this. Yeah. But no, there's changes to the BOA follower XP items. Now, this is good. And the thing is, see those followers? I mean, man, I get you. I played Farmville. I played Mafia Wars. I did all these things when I was a kid. I know. It was Facebook games. And apparently they're in WoW still. And, you know, it's actually a pity because if they had just doubled down on, like, the Legion version and just had more, like, collection and customization and then actually made those, like, champions be way more of a thing, way more of characters, it actually could have worked. But unfortunately, it did fall rather flat, even though the actual guts of the mission table is quite a bit more interesting in some ways. I mean, it's more interesting literally and technically, but in terms of like the readability of gameplay and stuff, like maybe not so much, or people just get adventure plan.
Yeah, that's one of the problems where I think this the mission table system this time is definitely the most complex it's been. You can call it a good thing, call it a bad thing. I think there are definitely problems in how it's like balanced and stuff, but conceptually speaking, a game designer designed that, and they've designed it with all of their game designer chops. So, as an example, like if that existed as a standalone mobile game, as an example, be it Warcraft or not, and was given the time to be good, it actually would be a pretty compelling experience. And you can see how if you start to care about the characters that are in there, instead of them being a bunch of literally nobodies or your soulbinds, then you could see how it's actually a good thing. Which is really distressing because how many iterations has it gone through? It was first introduced in Warlords as the Garrison one for followers. Then there was the ship variant, which is a different variant, introducing different elements. Then there was the Legion one. Then there was a BFA one, which is just kind of the Legion one again, but different, different databases essentially. And then there's a Shadowlands one. That's 5. How good would it be if this one was iterated on until it was here, as opposed to being knocked down and kind of reconsidered? Maybe maybe imagine there's a progression that can stick the whole way up, so you feel like you've been doing something for the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah, like they kind of messed it up with the rewards and stuff in BFA, but like at the very least the champions were pretty decent. And when they or not BFA, sorry, WoD. That's twice I've done that.
I liked it in WoD and Legion, like.
And then you move it into Legion, and you could get the legendary thing for your followers. And it kind of felt like when you had a full set of them, really leveled up, and they were getting you a little bit of gold, a little bit of AP, it sort of felt okay. But certainly BFA and Shadowlands have just felt... It's that weird thing. I think Blizzard correctly identified a problem in that those felt like a really important thing, but also a very side thing for the game. So they maybe wanted them to feel a little bit more optional. So they kind of neutered them a bit, but then it just ended up being like, well, what is this to anyone now? Yep. So it's a bit of a funky thing, really. There's a way you could get this to work. It's not what it is currently. It's one that would involve a lot more customization and them feeling a bit more like characters, and there being a lot more visual representation of them in the game world instead of just being on the UI as much. But anyway, the XP of these guys is pretty important if you want to get a bit more Soul Ash. And like, I haven't done this stuff, so I'm not taking my own advice because I don't really care about Soul Ash and Cinders that much. But if you want to, having a full roster of these guys is going to be really handy. And one of the things they're adding in this patch is a heirloom item. It used to be that they give them 10,000 XP, I think, or however many, maybe it was 5,000, whatever, and they cost like 10,000 anima. It was like something really big. Yeah. Well, now the way it works is that whenever you buy one of these, it sets a companion's level to level 30. So that's way better. And you can do that once you've got one companion up to 40. Previously it gave you 5,000 XP. And, this is a good thing, right? Like, this is how it should work. We gave our feedback. Our feedback was, honestly, it was a bit of a, what the good idea, but whoa, boy. Whoa. But no, they've said that after reading player feedback, feeling the anima cost was too high for the amount of companion XP granted, we made changes to the item to set the companion to level 30 instead. Original design was for that to be intended to be a supplemental augment to get them through the very low levels quickly, not a replacement for interacting with the system. They felt that the cost was too high for 5,000 XP, and they've made the change. So that's good. It's good to see. Next up. Big.
Huge.
This isn't just big. This is EA Sports big. This is the biggest big you can imagine.
This is snowboarding.
Oh, fuck. Random conduit upgrade item drop rate buff. Say it with me. Yeah, these boys, these lovely boys, the soul twining crescents. You'll get more of them now.
Soul twinning.
Soul twinning, yes. These are the things, you use them and they will discover an upgrade to a random conduit from among your lowest item level conduits up to item level 226. By the way, now it will actually take your loot specialization into account. Thank God. Oh. But I mean, it's still not great. So you'll get more of them. There you go.
Very good.
Should have been like this at launch. In fact, should never have existed.
Also, they're still not done.
Oh.
Yeah. No, as Dakar points out here.
This is not to be confused.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not to be confused with the actual one that upgrades to 252, the one that people want now in 9.1. But it's more the point that you didn't have to drop them more. Why'd you not fix the design issue we have with them? Like, actually, please tell us why you haven't fixed the design issue, which is they're completely random, which means you get the random thing, you get the happy beepty boopty of your big monitor going, yo, you got the item.
Would you go as far to call it a bing bing wahoo?
Yeah, so you get your bing bing wahoo of your television screen going, you got the item, let's go, big purple in your bag. And then you click it, and then it goes, nah, fuck you, different spec, or some shit you didn't want. You're like, sweet, thank you, fantastic. You've just I've just had a happy experience, and then you've just basically, I went to sit down in my victory lap of musical chairs, and you've kicked the chair across the floor, and now I've landed on my ass. That's what it feels like as an experience.
Yeah, but this is a bit like grinding a resource in Diablo, remember?
Is it?
I think in their eyes it is. That's why it's designed this way, because this doesn't make any sense for an MMORPG.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, right? Resource, I'm going to say not a resource. If you try to think of it from the concept of getting loot in Diablo or something where high drop rates or, it's the big shiny that drops in your bag, that's level 1. Level 2 is it useful? I think that's kind of shitty design in general, but if you want to make it a 1-2 punch, don't make it feel bad. You have to make it feel neutral. Because, you get an item, you go, hover over it, the stats are shit, whatever, I'll go grind for another one.
Yeah.
Except these have basically minimal drop rate whatsoever. It's kind of the same thing of Titan Forging. Titan Forging and high loot rates work. High loot rate without Titan Forging is busted. Low loot rate with Titan Forging completely busted. Because you need that actual design the whole way through. Versus this just being, oh, you got one, but it's useless. Fuck you. And that's what it feels like. Just rolling the dice repeatedly on all this stuff's just unreasonable. And you wouldn't have to worry about that if people just had the good experience of, oh, here you go. Because for all of the defensiveness they have in their design, a lot of the time, all of the fear they design with, as opposed to what could make people happy, they don't seem to actually protect against the really worst case of their systems. And I think that's one of them. Not that it matters because it's a 226 upgrade as opposed to the 252.
Yeah. I'm sure that in the next patch that in the next patch that gives us some more conduit upgrades that'll all be perfect. We'll be able to select them and we'll be very happy. We'll all be very happy. We'll be thrilled. Mm-hmm. That said, I mean, hey, look, if Towley says that 10.0 is going to be different, and if 9.0 is learning a bit from that, maybe. There's copium inside this. Never mind. It'll be great. Next one will be great. They'll fix it.
Yeah.
I must seem like an utter fucking lunatic right now. Yeah. I mean, hey, look, if there's going to be silly things like this going on, we may as well lose our minds and have a little bit of fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, okay.